All right, we are joined by an old friend. In fact, you see, I'm being like the weatherman, right? That football is a football signed by our guest that he gave personally to me a few years ago in a radio studio. He is, of course, Bills Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly. Jimbo, great. You, by the way, you were the original Jimbo. Now the Bills have another Jimbo, but you were the OG Jimbo, my man.
Yeah, that was a while ago. It's better than every time I go back to my hometown of East Brady. It's Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, good to see you, Jimmy. Because that's what I was called when I was in high school was Jimmy. And then once I got to college, I'm like, you know what? I'm too mature for Jimmy. I need to start with Jim. So that's how it went.
That's. I have never heard anyone call you Jimmy. That's
But
amazing.
I still have people here that call me that have been calling me that for many, many years. And I don't even correct them anymore because I'm old and you know what? Whatever they want to say, they can say, no problem at all. But there's no doubt about 100% of everybody in my hometown of East Brady calls me Jimmy, and I go there every single year.
Well, I gotta tell you what. Yeah, I know for a fact you've been called way worse things on and off the football field. So Jimmy's probably not so bad, man.
No, it's not.
All right. Um, well, great to see you, man. How you feeling? How's the fam? How's everything going, man?
I'm doing fine. Just had some face things zipped off there the other day. Other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. My family's doing well. Bo is getting big,
Good.
which is awesome, and he's getting there. He's not quite over that hump yet, but one of the things, Bo, is I learned many years ago the power of prayer, and the number of people that were praying for Bo. There's no doubt everything has went according to plan, and he's getting better each and every day. And but still needs the prayers though.
Yeah, for sure. And we're doing it for you for sure. And oh, by the way, he kind of has some Kelly Tough genes in there too.
There's no doubt about it. It's pretty cool because even though Aaron, my daughter, and Parker, my son-in-law, he is 6'6", about 255. He's a big boy, and Bo, he is in the 95 percentile of height and about 75 of weight. So that's pretty good. Boy, that'd be great. I said, I always mess when I'm talking to him. I'm saying, now listen to me now. When you become a quarterback, you're going to be right-handed. If you decide you want to play baseball, you want to be left-handed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Got to
sir.
have a little fun with the kid, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I have to believe that the first thing like in his crib was a football, right?
And football outfit, of
Hmm.
course.
Of
It has
course.
to be some footballs on it. We have some Buffalo Bill stuff, which is all good. But oh yeah, but his dad played baseball.
Okay.
He was a pitcher who was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers, so he had that baseball sense in him. He's following the Yankees and all these teams in Toronto, Toronto and all the other teams. So he's big in baseball. That's why I said if you pick baseball, be left-handed.
Or be ambidextrous. This is a crazy thing, Jim, and you may not know this about me, and only a handful of people do, but I throw a football left-handed and a baseball right-handed. It's crazy, it's
Really?
bizarre, it's nuts, it's silly, it's I can't explain it, but that's what I do. I can throw a baseball a little bit with both hands. I can throw a football a little bit with both hands, but usually a football left and a baseball right. So maybe that's in Bo's future. Maybe he could be ambidextrous and do one with one and one with the other.
I don't know. You always have been a little strange, so.
And I was never an elite athlete either. So,
All good, bro.
yeah.
That's good to hear.
All right. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the Bills now. And I want to ask you to go back in your career. Of course, when you guys were at the height of your success, kind of like the current Bills are now with the five, consecutive divisional titles. Were there games, early or midish season when you played a team that certainly wasn't up to your level and you played down to, and maybe there were penalties and giveaways, and you lost that game that you weren't expected to? Maybe you were favored by a lot. Were there games like that? And if there were, How did you respond to that, and how did you recover from that game? And what was the messaging like for Marv and in the team, and from the team leaders like yourself to the rest of the guys?
Well, early on, there's no doubt that every year it's going to happen. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, what always brings back to my mind with the team that we have now was Jacksonville a few years ago when we wind up losing to them early on, and it came back to haunt us later on down the road for the playoffs, whether it was going to be a home or away game. And but when I play, yeah, there's always going to be that game. That's why you need that motivational factor. And Marsh's quote was all the time, he said, if I have to motivate you, you need to go somewhere else. If you can't get motivated yourself playing the game of football, going out there, getting paid what you guys are getting paid, if you can't, if that is not enough to motivate you, then you're in the wrong sport. And but the thing is, things do happen, and then after the game is over, you look back on some of the things that happened during the game, like the 11 penalties we had or 10 penalties we had against the Patriots. That you cannot do that week in and week out and expect to win. We got to be able to stop the run. Those are things that pop up that you look at after the fact, but you also know going into games, there's games where, and I'm just going to tell it like it is. I used to throw up before every game, and my offensive line would never ever leave the locker room until I was done throwing up. So I would go into the bathroom. There are times where I wasn't as excited as I would be playing a big team, and I would go in there and I would pretend to throw up just to get those guys excited. Oh, we're ready to go now. So we would all go up, but yeah, there's games where you don't get as pumped up as you should be, or in your heart you need to be. But you always got to be your mindset's got to be focused on what you have to do at hand, what the game plan is, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and sometimes, in the this weekend's Bills Pats game, gosh, it's a 3-3 game at halftime. I mean, it's so not the current team, and I'm wondering, I mean, you're probably not, maybe you are privy to this information, but you may not be. Like, what do you think happens with this team that's so high powered, that is held to 3 points at halftime at home on national TV? I mean, what kind of things are being talked about at that point?
You know what? You have to figure out what you were doing, what you weren't doing, and of course, when you come into the halftime, those are things you have to go over. That's what coaches do. They talk to amongst themselves first before they meet with the offense or the defense, and they will explain what you need to do the second half. But when you have a team like we did, I just mixing it up a little bit more. And of course, always my favorite saying to Josh is take what they give you. We have, I don't even know the last time we threw a deep ball 150, 60 yards down the field. I don't know when we have ever done that. I mean, it's been so long that we just have to maybe mix it up a little bit more. But Josh, I just always worry about him always knowing that he has to make plays every single snap that he drops back. That if it's not there, he tried to find it on the run. But that's what he does. That's why he's so talented. That's why he won MVP last year. But this is a whole new time now. You're getting older. You got to start going through that rotation of first read, second read, then dumping it off, and not have to rely on that run all the time. Because we all have gotten used to seeing him take off and run and make big plays, which he still does. But we just have to maybe get the read down a little quicker and get the ball out of his hand so he doesn't have to take that hit all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? One thing that Sean always says, and we joke about it when we're watching games at home, because he'll do that interview at halftime, and I feel so bad for the coaches because that's the last thing they want to do is stop at halftime and talk to a media person, whoever it is, and they just ask the most stock questions and they give stock answers back almost every time. It's the last thing they want to do, but we laugh because his answer to those questions is so stock that it's so predictable. He always uses one word, though. It's fundamentals. And sadly, some of those haven't been there, like simple, just tackling, right? And bad penalties at bad times and things that fundamentally you would think they would have all taken care of.
Yeah, and the thing is, I love going to the games. My daughters love it. My wife loves it. Parker, my son, will really love it. He's a big Bills fan now. But those are the things I don't get to see because they don't rewind all the plays all the time. They don't rewind, okay, was that really a holding call? But when I'm home, oh, they don't even let you sit with me because I'm rewinding the tape. I'm saying, okay, is that really a holding call? Or what read did he make there? He should have, hit this guy going across the middle. So I'm more of a coach. When I'm in the stands, I'm still being that quarterback. I'm still looking at defensive front, depending on what the down and distance is. I know when we go motion, are they running with us to tell us they're playing man-to-man coverage, or are they running zone? I look at the game totally different than your normal fan. I look at it as if I was playing in the game and looking what I should take, what you should do on this play, you should do this, because remember, Bull, I called all the plays, and we did it in a no huddle approach. So we were up quick. So I had to automatically know man zone, and we did not run a lot of motion. We were just on the ball, run, boom, boom, boom. And I've also got to say, I've been blessed, though. I had Thurman Thomas in my backfield, I had James Lofton, Andre Reed on the outside, and BB. So I was blessed, but the game of football has changed so much in the years. But you got to love what they're doing, though.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned something that I want to get back to about the Bills not taking a lot of deep shots. And I want to ask you why you think that is. And I have a couple theories, right or wrong. But, is it maybe they don't think throws a great deep ball? That's number one. Number two, does Joe Brady and the offensive play calling group, do they think they're more equipped for intermediate throws with guys that can get yards after catch? And they've shown they do that pretty well. Or lastly, and we hear this all the time, it just becomes a talking point in the media. Well, the Bills don't have speed guys. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't have speed? Like, everybody's fast, right? It's just, if you can address, I know it's kind of a loaded question, but if you can address why you think the Bills don't try and throw it deeper more, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, number one is when you run a play, I shouldn't say all the plays. There's plays that there always is a receiver that's going deep. And then that's up to Josh to determine whether he throws or not. I don't think we have a 4-2 or 4-3 receiver out there. We might have an upper 4-4, maybe 4-5, but we don't have that jet guy. I mean, we have some quickness, but I don't think we have that guy. If we do, I haven't seen it yet.
So straight line
that's
speed.
That pretty much goes on to Josh's shoulders as far as does he have confidence in the outside guys that they can beat that defensive back? Because remember, during the course of the week, you're studying those corners. And when you're in your own division, own conference, you know more about the defensive backs than, say, another team. But you're watching film, okay, and you know that defensive back is capable of, running down that long throw. But Josh, without a doubt, has the arm and the ability to throw that deep ball, without a doubt. I just wish that they would try it sometime and not always rely on, the deep square ends. And I don't know the last time I saw him throw a 12, 14-yard out, an out pattern. Come back every once in a while, but you know what? It's their game plan. That's what they do. I know what I like to do, but of course I'm not the coach and I'm not the quarterback. But again, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, it's one game we let slide.
Yep.
We just can't do that very often.
Yeah, I mean, Palmer's a fast guy. They talked about him a lot, and Elijah Moore maybe is that guy. I mean, they have big play capability, but and even Curtis Samuel's got some wheels, but they just haven't shown. And granted, Samuel's been hurt a lot, but maybe
I haven't seen it. I'll put this. I haven't seen it yet, so
right.
I would love to see it. I would love to see them throw a couple of nice bombs and drop them in her. Because the offensive line's not doing that bad of a job. We just need to get that running game going again.
And thank you for bringing up the offensive line, because I think a lot of people, me included, am getting a little bit curious about, and there's a stat I read on X today about Josh's scrambling, right? So the last 3 years, and there's a percentage they put of the number of plays where he scrambles, right? So between 21 and 24, it was like 8% of the time he's scrambling. This year, it's almost 12% of the time. And yet the offensive line is still the same. So I'm wondering, do you feel like he needs to maybe practice a little bit more pocket patience, that maybe after that first progression he's like, oh, it's not there, and then I got to get out of here and try and figure out what to do on my own. I mean, you were there, you did this job, so when you
I think
see,
you
go
hit
ahead.
it earlier, during the show about one of the things, and I talked about it was the progressions going first or second. I think that he has gotten so used to getting out of the pocket, making plays happen, which he does all the time.
And
I think
well,
it almost gets to a point where he might hold on and look for that run and get outside the pocket, look for that big play on the scramble. Then he probably should. I mean, again, I don't know, Bull. I'm not in the locker room. I don't watch the film, the next day over. When I'm at the game, I don't get a chance to come home and watch all that stuff. But yeah, if I had to really think, I'd say he probably needs to go through those progressions a little bit more, maybe take it. And he knows I've told him this I don't know how many times. Take what they give you. Take what they give you, because sooner or later they're going to come up in that nice square in. That post pattern is going to be right there. So, but that's something I lived with, and in my mind, I always knew that it was take what they give you, because a lot of times that's what it takes. It takes the little dent passes, the little drop offs to really open up the middle of the field a little bit more.
yeah, it's interesting how that all plays out, and it's funny too because like all the talking heads, anybody that you would call an air quotes analyst, like nobody watching the game knows what the play call was ever, and yet we all have some sort of response to the outcome, right? That's the crazy thing for me is that we all went, oh, that was a terrible play. Well, you don't, maybe you didn't really know what the play call was, right?
Yeah, because you don't. I mean, in your mind, you throw this and you really could have thrown that, or running wise, he audibles out, and like I used to do. I mean, we would audible. If I saw something I didn't like, I would audible out of it. And that's why it was so good for me. I called plays that I liked and my receivers liked. And I knew that if I came up on a running play and they already were in the defense was going to stop it, I would just say opposite, opposite, and we would run the play the opposite side. So there's ways of doing it, but you know what? I just hope that they get back in that groove again. Again, it's only one game, so we
Yeah.
we can't get to it, but we do got to stop the penalties. And I got kind of tired of hearing that official go out there and penalty, not again.
Well, was Ed Hockley a referee when you played? So
Yeah.
Sean's dad, yeah, okay. And he had sort of a reputation of liking to throw the hanky every once in a while, huh?
Yeah, they always like to show their muscles.
Yeah, exactly.
If you know nowadays, all the referees have they're really a double XL or an XL, and they're wearing those large shirts and so tight. Like, yo, okay, we get you in shape. Good job. I'm proud of you.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. As more of a fan now, and obviously you played, so you know this. Do you ever feel like coaches sometimes either, I don't know what the right term is, overcoach or overthink in terms of like, well, and not trust their gut. You know what I mean? Like what should work here, and then they say, well, what if? And what if? Do you think ever does that happen?
The way I always look at it, they go through all this stuff prior to, not just prior to the game, but when they were coaches a long time ago. They know what the situation is. And I'm sure before a game, they have in their mind that on certain times, this is the play we're going to do when we go for a 2-point conversion instead of a third down and two. There's different things that I'm sure coaches go over amongst each other. That's why you have coaches meetings where they all come together as an offense, as a defense, and you discuss things like that. You discuss things that you might see during the course of a ball game, and mostly probably even before the season starts. Some of the things that you might want to do that might throw a team off. So I don't know if it's called overcoaching or whatever, however you want to phrase it. But coaches have to go through all that mindset prior to even starting the season.
Yeah, I get that. So they go through pretty much every, and they talk about it, situational football, right? They go through every situations in advance so that they have a good idea based on the flow of the game and then based on what they're good or bad at in that situation of how to call. That makes a ton of sense. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. How well do you remember the Bills Falcons game when Dion returned a punt against you guys?
I don't.
No?
No.
I know there were a lot of games for sure, but I was at that game and I feel like it was like 92 maybe. And you had a big game in that game. The Bills won handily, but Deion Sanders had a 73-yard punt return for a touchdown and it was electric and it was everything. Even as a Bills fan, I was like, what? I mean, 'cause there was a lot of, he was his own hype machine, as we all know, and still is.
No,
But
that.
but we're like, oh my God, like he's everything they built him up to be. That was an amazing return. I didn't know if you knew that. And have you become over the years? I mean, do you know Dion at all? Do you ever talk to him or anything? Because I know he's going through
I
some.
rarely talk to him, but yeah,
Yeah,
I know him pretty well. I mean, not like a good friend.
right.
When I see him, we give a hug, how you been, blah blah blah, those things. But
Yeah,
other than that, no, not much.
yeah. I didn't know because he's going through some health stuff too, and I didn't know if
No.
you reach out. Okay. And then I want to wrap. Obviously, it's got to be sort of bittersweet for you knowing that the stadium's going away. I mean, I think we all knew at some point it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But I would suggest that maybe the greatest football memories of your life happened in that building. So it's a brutally unfair question, but is there one moment, and I think I'm not 100 that I know the answer to this, but is there one moment that you will always take away from Highmark Stadium?
Well, there's a couple. The first one was my first game ever. When I ran onto the field, I looked up in the stands, and my mom, my dad, my five brothers were up there.
Awesome.
And to me, that was probably the greatest moment of my life, knowing that I made it. And now mom and dad can kick back, relax, and enjoy life. They don't have to work anymore. And of course, I wanted always to make my five brothers proud of me. And they were there from start to finish. Never was jealous one time ever in their life. They never complained about anything. They always would be there for me. When I need to work out, they were there for me. When I was in college at summer break, I would go up and stay in Richmond, Virginia with my two brothers. All I did was work out, and they paid for everything. They paid for, I stayed at their house. They paid for the food. All I had to do was work out. They would go down and throw the ball with me. I would run. We would do all those things. But that was number one. Number two is probably going to the first Super Bowl, beating the Raiders 51-3. That because I remember, long story short, in that game, as you well know, 2 minutes ago in the Super Bowl, we're losing 2019. Well, when I was a little boy back in East Brady, I was one of those kids that pretended like I was the quarterback, lead my team down the field with 2 minutes to go in the Super Bowl and winning it. I would throw it to my little brothers. I'd throw it to a couple of my best friends. We would just go over and over these things and all of a sudden, here I am, 2 minutes to go in the Super Bowl 25. We're down 2019. And right before I took the field, I said, "Do you believe this? This is everything I dreamt about as a kid." And of course, we, as you well know, we drove down the field and unfortunately we missed a field goal and we didn't win. But yeah, those are moments in my life that I will never forget. And I thank the good Lord each and every day that He allowed me to be able to cherish all those moments and share it with the people I love, and that was my family.
Well, and I'll tell you what, man, not only have your blood family, obviously, but obviously you have your teammate family who you are still close with now decades after your career is over, and obviously the fan base. I think you would consider family as well. I mean, it's the most
Oh
massive
yeah.
extended family anybody could possibly ask for, and we're happy that you're part of ours. Put it that way.
Well, I'm enjoying every minute of it. That's why I still live here. I've lived here since 1986. My wife loves it. Of course, she's from here. My son is buried here. He's laid to rest here. And of course, my daughter, they moved from Virginia. They moved back here. And now We have a little grandson now, and I'm enjoying it. My daughter Cameron just got got her master's at Liberty University. She's now back home. So we have a lot going on here, but you know what? I wouldn't want it any different because these fans in Buffalo, these people in Buffalo, that's why I continue to stay here because they are so unbelievable. And the prayers they give our family so many times out there, and I couldn't thank them enough.
Hey man, tell folks that are watching as well. Yeah, anything going on that people can be a part of charitably, or any events you're doing coming up on your calendar schedule that people can be a part of off the top of your head?
No, I travel the country speaking. I still do. I do it, at 3 or 4 times a month. I'm out of the state. I'm going places. My daughter Erin and Jill do their own podcast called Immeasurably More. And they do it. They love it. They're getting back into it now that Bo's getting a little bigger. And of course, I'm on Cameo. I do so many cameos, and I love it. Whether it's football or a wedding or birthdays, and I do probably half of them are about people that are going through cancer, and I try to hopefully make their day better, and hopefully they stay tough and get through it. And I pray for them too.
And of course, I can't let you go with asking you about hunting season if there's any big trips coming up.
Oh yeah, I leave. We leave next week for Colorado elk hunting. Me
Awesome.
and my good friend David Kern, and then 3 weeks after that, 2 weeks after that, I go back to Colorado mule deer hunting. So that's something I enjoy. I enjoy. I love the outdoors. It's not so much, as you well know, Bull. It's not so much of killing the animals. It is being able to enjoy the outdoors. And pretty much to tell you, 90% of the meat that we get, anyways, we donated. Here, we donated to the Western New York Food Bank, and it's something I enjoy doing all the time. And those people out there don't have much, and I love it. And I love the meat, anyways. I still eat it, but just going out there and being with my buddies, that is more than anything. The part of going out there and getting an animal is great, but it's not the same as going and having a couple beers with your friends.
No doubt about it. All right, Jimmy. Well, I do remember you coming out of that tunnel when you played your first game in those fishnet Bills uniforms back then. But I had to refer to you as Jimmy as we leave.
Yeah, and I think it might have been after that. The giving them the business was that my first game.
No, that was I think that was well, that's a good question. It wasn't I don't think it was in Buffalo. I think it was in the Meadowlands.
I be honest with you, I don't remember. I remember a lot of things from back then. I don't remember 2 weeks ago, but I can
Right.
remember, running out of the tunnel my first game, and
Yeah.
my fam, all of that stuff. I can remember all that stuff. But you know what, Bull? I always enjoy talking with you, bud. This is always a good time, and I wish you nothing but the best. And don't everybody out there, don't jump off that bandwagon. It's way too early. This is a game that we didn't win, but we will be back.
Love you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Back at you, buddy. Take care. God bless.
You too.